See, mainstream society, we tend to look outside, outward to look for something. Indian people are saying, you look within, you'll find the answers. And that's what Indian dancing does to you. It makes you look within. It makes you take a look at yourself. What are you doing? How are you behaving? What are you saying? What are you thinking? What are you wishing? And that's what Indian dancing does. It takes a look at oneself.
Dance plays a central role in the everyday life of Plains Indian culture. Our people believed that the Great Spirit gave us the gifts of dance and song, so that we could express our thoughts and feelings. In the world of spirits, no other form of communication is as powerful or complete. When Great Plains Indian culture was transformed in the late 1880s, the dancing which had been a part of our culture for thousands of years was no longer allowed. Government suppression, disease, famine, and isolation threatened the survival of tradition. Plains society was thrown into cultural crisis. Although traditional Indian society has changed, it has not brought about the death of Indian cultural traditions. Native dance is very much alive, and it is at the center of the modern-day powwow, a ceremonial event at the crossroads of traditional and contemporary native culture.
There are various forces that shape the dancing. One of them, I guess, is the re-emergence of tribalness, Indianness, indigenousness. Once it was outlawed, ceremonies were outlawed. It could not be practiced because it made the indigenous person strong. And it wasn't until the early 60s that this attitude of the governments and their agents changed, and indigenous peoples started practicing. And the very first public ceremony that was reorganized was powwow. And from there, indigenous peoples were able to grasp and identify with something that was their blessing from the Creator. And nowhere else in the world was there such a dance as the grass dance ceremony, which became the name powwow. The other force that has really become common is sobriety. To practice your culture a clean way, an honest indigenous way, without the use of substances. Not like in the early 50s, 60s, and 70s. In order to feel indigenous or Indian, you had to go and drink first. And then you felt comfortable being who you were. Now today, that is different. People are attending ceremonies, celebrations, and being clean in mind, body, and spirit. And that is very key. And now the next generation is going up that way. I have greater hope that they don't have to regain their culture the way I did. It's going to be there for them. They're going to be born into it.
The drum is the heartbeat of our people. It is essential to the powwow, and the songs are as varied and vital as the dances. The songs are given to singers in different ways. Some are gifts from the Creator. Some are ancient songs that have been passed down.
There's a lot of things that was oppressed to the Indian people, but there's some things that you can never really stamp out, and our culture is one of them. Our dance is still intact. Our ways are still intact. If you look closely and you listen to the songs, the meaning is still there. And as long as Indian people are here, we'll always have the drum.
The drum is a sacred thing that we're given to, where an animal has given its life up for our use to praise the spirits, to beat on it where people will enjoy the beat, and to respect the drum that we have. Even elders have told us that you keep the drum inside of your house and sleep with it. That's how sacred it is. And the drum speaks for us in the spirit world, where we sing those certain songs and sends the message up into the heavens where there's sacred life.
Yeah, I'll drink it on the road. When I was very young, my parents took us to powwows. Not very many powwows, but a few. And then it was up to us. They dressed us up and they told us go and dance. And we had to just kind of mingle in, dance in with the other people. And just through watching, observing, I teach my girls that. I tell them to watch other dancers and just, whatever you learn from other dancers, you can integrate into your style and work at it. I would practice and just try and develop, a style that I feel comfortable with. The jingle dress originated from the eastern parts of Canada and the eastern parts of the States. I believe it originated directly from Ontario, Whitefish Bay, Ontario, by an elderly woman who has passed on now, Maggie White. And within the past 5, 6, maybe 7 years, it has become very popular in the western provinces, western states. The reason why I chose jingle dress was just the spiritual aspect of it. I know for myself, I enjoy dancing it. It is a great way to be out there and dancing and just totally enjoying the songs and everything else.
Traditional answer this afternoon being led by Peter Johnston of Hobima.
My grandfather used to dance men's traditional a long time ago. And he always told me, he said, I always want to watch you dance, he said. But when he passed on, I wasn't dancing yet, so after he passed on, I started dancing. That's where I picked the men's traditional from my grandfather. Sometimes it's hard to dance to you think of the ones that are gone. My grandfather, my other relatives. So I dance for those people too. I don't dance for myself. A lot of people think that way, but dance for the people in the stands there. Some people are sick and some people are sad. We dance for those people, help them out. We make them feel good. That's mainly why I dance.
We dance for a lot of reasons, not for ourselves though. We dance for people who are sick. We dance for elders who are no longer able to get out there. People who are wheelchair bound. We dance for people who are locked up behind bars. People who are overseas in the armed forces, who are unable to attend our celebrations. Mainly we dance for the Creator and this Mother Earth. That's why we put on these clothes. That's why we sing these songs, and that's why we have this drum. It's for the Creator. Just to let the Creator know that we're still alive and the earth is still alive, and there's people that still have the respect for our origins.
It becomes an individual thing when you start dancing. When you start recognizing the dances, you'll have some visions, you'll have some dreams relating to how you should be dressed, how you should wear your paint. And you begin to get in visions once you start getting closer to Mother Earth. And that becomes individual. And that's why it's hard to tell mainstream society what that is, because it becomes individual, one's individual experience. It's different for each one, because after the short period of time on Mother Earth, you're going to go to another phase of life. We call it death. It's not death. It's not the end. It's a beginning. And that's what dancing is all about, to get prepared, the spiritual component.
In the early days, men's traditional dancers limited their featherwork to a small back bustle and a few head feathers. Now, dancers wear a much larger back bustle and often cover their shoulders and forehead with fan-shaped featherwork. They often carry an eagle wing in one hand and a dancing stick in the other. The traditional dance style is quite solemn and dignified. The regalia of ladies' traditional dancers consists of either a hide or cloth dress. Many wear a fluffy plume in their hair or a single feather fixed to their headband. This style emphasizes grace and elegance, as the dancers use an in-place bobbing motion, while at the same time slowly rotating from side to side. Grass dancers became known as ribbon dancers or sway dancers because of the ribbons and fringes sewn to their fabric regalia. Now yarn in vivid colors is used as fringe. The name sway describes the dance style, a swaying like grass blowing in the wind. These dancers do not wear bustles but usually have an eagle feather plume attached to their porcupine roach headgear. Jingle-dressed dancers wear cloth dresses that are decorated with cone-shaped metal jingles. They do not wear or carry a shawl. The left hand usually rests on the hip, and the right hand carries a feather fan. Because it is a modern dance, special songs are used for this fast-paced style. fancy dancer wears two large matching feather bustles, one at the back and one tied at the neck. The dancers spin around and use a double stepping technique. Younger men and boys dance this style since it is a very active dance with a quick tempo. As with the men's fancy dance, younger women and girls participate in fancy shawl, since the dance is performed at a quick tempo. The dance involves many change-ups and much twirling. As the name implies, dancers wear a colorful fringed shawl that is decorated with embroidery, sequins, and ribbons. The apparent lack of spirituality in contemporary powwows has recently become a concern to some elders. The overemphasis on competition for monetary gain is in sharp contrast to the traditional integration of dance into all aspects of society.
Powwow is moving too dangerously fast for all Native people. What I mean by that is we're involving ourselves with money in too big of a forms, so to speak, and that takes even the spirit that was once there 5 years ago, 10 years ago, 20 years ago, away, because the spirit of the atmosphere of what we're supposed to be doing, the money takes that away. And it is not fair, it is not right to the generation that's going to be coming tomorrow and years ahead. And I see it as dangerous because it takes away immediately our culture, our way of life, our traditional values, even religious value, because the powwow in itself is a religion. And today it's dangerously because the kids adapt to going strictly to powwows just for the monetary part of it, and it takes away the whole spirit.
Historically, Indian people were always competing, racing, running, swimming. However, there wasn't. What's confusing right now, I believe, in terms of the competitions, is the monetary benefits that you receive. Before, there wasn't monetary benefits. There was a gratification that you were able to do a certain kind of talent that you had, whether you were paddling, whether you were skilled at a bow, whether you can throw a tomahawk, or certain individual cultural games that you were good on. And you were honored and respected from that. You didn't get a monetary prize or win at that point. I think competitiveness is okay, and I think where it becomes individualized is the parents need to talk to their children what dancing is all about. And I look at that in retrospect now that my kids are becoming teenagers, that when I told them to start dancing, they started dancing for wrong reasons. They started dancing because they wanted to win money. And I had to sit down, take them to elders, and tell them what the reasons are they're dancing. It's to better themselves, to know their culture. Those are the reasons, not reasons of monetary gains. And once I start turning that around, my children got even better dancers.
Our traditional knowledge has been passed down from generation to generation and repeated over and over. By asking elders to share their wisdom in words, memories, and songs, the stories of our people will be kept alive.
My folks were walking encyclopedias and walking dictionaries and historians, and when I was growing up, and this is a good part that the kids could play, is when I was growing up, I used to just sit there, and I thought I wasn't paying attention to my dad or my mother, because he would go in one ear and come out the other. I was just like I wasn't even listening. But somehow it affects me today. I guess in a way I was listening, because through their teachings and through their way of life is where I'm at today.
That despite how much education that a person has, that we may be teachers, we may be lawyers, we may be social workers, but to be able to function in today's society as a Native person, a person must always remember to go back and seek the advice of the elders, despite how much knowledge we think we have, that we do need to go back and ask those questions, those understandings of our culture and our traditions, so that we are including them in our decision making, in our planning of our future and our children's future.
Whether the purpose of attending a powwow is social, spiritual, economic, or political, the dancers are members of the Great Plains Indian community, playing a part in preserving tradition. The dancers move to the beat of ancestral rhythms while remaining in step with contemporary concerns.